Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this direct instruction presentation for Unit 5 on strategic planning. So I've been reading through your discussions, and it seems like for the most part, all of you have a pretty strong understanding of what you're going to be working with, or what you'll be working with over the next couple days. So I did just want to touch on a couple quick topics. At the end of this session, learners should be able to identify the components of a strategic plan, understand the purpose of financial forecasting, and also explain the benefits of sales forecasting. So ultimately, to achieve the organizational goals, corporations develop and deploy different strategies based on such conditions as the economy, the marketplace that they are operating in, the sector that they're operating in, and also the relevant risk and resources they have available to them. Throughout this presentation today, we're going to touch on the components of strategic planning, which include the mission statement, the corporate scope, the statement of corporate objectives, operating plans, financial plans, and also resource planning and management. So a mission plan is a formal summary that aims the values of the company, the organization, or the individual. Ultimately, the mission statement defines a company's goals in three separate ways. It defines what a company does for its customers. It defines what the company does for its employees. And ultimately defines what a company does for its owners. Some of the best mission statements will also extend themselves to include what the company does for the community and overall for the world. The corporate scope of the business involves every activity performed by that business, including sales, service, product development, marketing, and also contracts. The scope of a business usually covers several departments and covers a lot of different areas, depending on the company. For example, many corporations own several different businesses or companies under them, meaning that business's scope is going to be quite large and potentially cover different products and markets. Smaller businesses, such as family-owned stores, they'll have a much smaller scope, and ultimately will be focused primarily on acquiring goods at a wholesale price and selling those goods to consumers at a retail price. So all in all, basically the scope refers to all the daily operations of the business, particularly those activities required to secure revenue. The statement of the corporate objectives. These are statements of intent that provide the basic direction of the activities of the organization in pursuit of its overall mission. Generally speaking, an objective is a broad statement of intention to do and or achieve something. You'll typically see these near or somewhere included within the company's mission statement. And as you'll see here, some very popular companies that I'm pretty sure you all have all been to at least once or twice. You'll see there that these are their corporate objectives, their statement of corporate objectives. Ultimately, an operational plan, also known as a work plan, is an outline of what your department will focus on within the near future. This is typically going to be within a year. Every department typically will have a leader or a team of leaders that are going to be responsible for making their overall operational plan. Overall, each operational plan is designed for a single department. The successful implementation of that operational plan, or as you can see in the picture, their game plan, can ultimately lead to organizational-wide success. For example, let's say you have your marketing team; they will have their own operational plan, and they're with their overall goal of increasing visibility of the company. Overall, if they actually achieve increased visibility, this should translate to more sales opportunities, which ultimately will lead to more revenue for the company. The financial plan of a company, this is a section that determines whether or not your business idea is going to be viable. And ultimately, it's a key component in determining whether or not you're going to attract any investors, or or even be able to obtain certain lending opportunities. Especially if you're looking at a situation where you have a larger investor who's only looking to invest in small companies, but they want to be a major owner. Typically, if your financial plan doesn't look very solid, those type of investors are not going to be interested in working with your business. Basically, the financial plan consists of 3 financial statements: the income statement, the cash flow projection, and also the balance sheet. And ultimately, at the beginning of it will also include some kind of brief analysis of those 3 statements. Over the last couple of weeks, we've worked with income statements, cash flow projections, and also balance sheets. I'm pretty sure you guys have a pretty good handle on those topics. Resource planning, and also overall management, is the process of using a company's resources in the most efficient way possible. These resources can include tangible resources, such as goods and equipment, financial resources, and even labor resources, such as your overall employees. Some of the questions that resource planning looks to uncover, are the finances. Can we meet our current expenses or afford to invest in new capital, new equipment, or staff trainings? Staffing. Do we have the right people that work here? Will we need to hire more people to get more clientele? The physical space that we're operating in, are we configured in a place that makes the most sense, that maximizes our efficiency to get our product to our different customers? Equipment. Do we have the tools that we need, or just different specialized tools required? And finally, technology. What does the business need to do to succeed? And should the financial resources be reallocated to a different area? Ultimately, resource management can include ideas such as making sure one has enough physical resources for one's business, but not an overabundance, so that the company won't get used to, or making that people are assigned to tasks that keep them busy and not have too much downtime. Now we're going to kind of shift gears and go away from kind of strategic planning and now talk about financial forecasting. A financial forecast describes the process by which a firm thinks about and prepares for the future. The forecasting process provides the means for a firm to express its goals and priorities and to ensure that they are internally consistent. What that means, ultimately, you want all your business partners kind of pulling in the same direction. If you have, half of your organization is expecting one result and another is expecting the other, you're all pulling in different directions with different focuses. It also assists with the firm with identifying the assets requirements and needs for external financing. The most difficult aspect of preparing a financial forecast is predicting, the revenue, which kind of leads us right into which leads to our next topic, the sales forecast. Because ultimately, if you can't predict your sales, you're going to have a really hard time predicting your overall revenue and thus your financial forecast. The sales forecast is an essential tool for managing a business of any size. It's the month by month forecast of the level of sales that you expect to achieve. Most businesses will draw up a sales forecast for at least a full year. With this information, you can rapidly identify problems and opportunities and do something about it. It can prepare you for the level of manufacturing needs to meet your sales quota and ensure you don't tie up too much needed funds in overstocking your warehouse. It's what makes you think about your current prices and whether to change them overall. As I mentioned before, your sales is going to be very, very close to what your revenues are. So if you can't figure out how to predict and have an idea of what your sales are, you're going to have a very tough time figuring out your overall revenue or predicting what your revenue is going to be from year to year. So overall, that's all I have for you guys this evening, but I did want to give you one other small assignment. Ultimately, I do want to get an idea of how many people are actually watching these direct instruction videos. So I do want you guys to confirm, and how I want you to do that is I want you to go to Unit 5, Discussion 2, and find my original posting. It should be at the bottom of the list there. In that posting, I uploaded a short video on financial planning. So I want you guys to watch that. I believe it's about 3 minutes long. And finally, I want you to reply to that posting, writing a brief comment about that video. It doesn't have to be long. I'm not looking for, anything very specific there. Just a sentence or two saying, what you learned from the video or what you thought was interesting. Anything like that would certainly suffice. So if you guys can take care of that for me, I'll be very appreciative. Other than that, have a great night. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to call, text, email me. I'll be glad to give you guys some assistance. Have a great night.